The year is 1315. On the medieval battlefield, one equation is absolute. The mounted armored knight is invincible. He is a 500-kilogram titan of steel, horse, and fury, a living main battle tank, the undisputed master of war. Duke Leopold of Austria, the sword of the Habsburgs, now leads thousands of them, the flower of European chivalry, into a narrow mountain pass to crush a rebellion. His enemy? A phantom in the mist. 1,500 Swiss herdsmen and farmers dug in somewhere on the mountain. Leopold calls them an armed rabble to be trampled underfoot. But what is about to happen in this pass will not be a battle. It will be a reckoning. A moment that will shatter an age of warfare and give birth to a nation. Duke Leopold of Austria lowers his visor. The air is cold. This is not just a battle, it is the cold calculus of empire. The imperial crown of the Holy Roman Empire is disputed, a prize sought by two men, Louis of Bavaria and the Habsburgs' own, Frederick the Handsome. The forest cantons, the mountain communities of Schwyz, Uri, and Unterwalden, have dared to back Louis. This political sin is compounded by a local one. The men of Schwyz, in a long-running dispute over grazing lands, have raided the Habsburg-protected Einsiedeln Abbey. This is open rebellion, an intolerable challenge to the natural order. Leopold, Frederick's brother, has been dispatched to administer the punishment. He is so confident in his victory that he has brought an abundant supply of ropes with which to hang the rebel leaders. He is the embodiment of the chivalric ideal, energetic, and utterly convinced of his class's superiority. Legend says that as he prepared his army, his court jester, one Quoni von Stocken, reportedly quipped, "You have all deliberated on how to reach that land, but none of you deliberated how you will get out again." Leopold laughs. He has planned for everything, except his exit. November 15th, 1315. The fog is a shroud, clinging to the cold, dark surface of Lake Egeri. Leopold's column is a serpent of steel, over a mile long. The clatter of thousands of hooves on the frozen track, the jingle of mail, the creak of leather, and the laughter of confident knights are all swallowed by the mist. To their left, the icy deep lake. To their right, a steep, silent, wooded slope. Leopold is a professional. He has not marched blindly. He has sent diversionary forces to attack Unterwalden from other directions, seeking to split the Swiss defense. But this main pass, the most direct route into the heart of Schwyz, was left suspiciously open. He sees it as cowardice. It is, in fact, an invitation. High above, invisible, the Eidgenossen, the Oath Brothers, watch. They are not serfs. They are free peasants, a dangerous anomaly in this feudal world, and they are fighting for their existence. Legend whispers that a single arrow, fired by a sympathetic noble in Leopold's own camp, the Lord of Hunenberg, had landed in their midst. Its fletching was marked with a parchment warning, "Beware near Morgarten." But the Swiss did not need the warning. They chose this ground. They deliberately funneled Leopold's army into this single, perfect kill zone. The vanguard, a dense mass of armored nobility, rounds a bend near a place called Scharfstetten. They halt. A crude barrier of timber and earth blocks the path. The sudden stop creates a ripple effect. The mile-long column compresses, a hydraulic press of its own making. Horses sidestep, whinnying, their hooves clattering. Knights are packed shoulder to shoulder, their magnificent war horses restless, their lances useless in the crush. The most powerful army in Europe is now a single, congested, disorganized target, trapped between a mountain and a lake. They are completely vulnerable. The trap is full. A single horn blast echoes across the valley. The mountain itself begins to move. The quiet slope erupts. It is not a volley of arrows. It is an avalanche of pure kinetic force trauma. The Swiss, with coordinated roars, heave their hidden artillery over the edge, massive boulders and sharpened, heavy logs prepared for this exact moment. The sound is an earthquake. The thunder of the rockslide smashes into the packed column. Plate armor, designed to deflect a glancing sword, is meaningless against tons of falling timber. It does not cut, it crushes. Men and horses are annihilated instantly, their bodies shattered. The disciplined Habsburg vanguard ceases to exist. It becomes a tangle of shattered bone, splintered lances, panicked horses, and dying men. The horses, maddened by the sound and the impacts, rear and bolt, throwing their top-heavy armored riders to the ground. A mounted knight is a tank, A dismounted knight in the mud and chaos is a helpless, overturned turtle, unable to rise under the weight of his own protection. The Habsburg formation disintegrates in seconds. There is no room to maneuver, no way to form a line, no possibility of a charge. The pass has become a death trap. Then, the second phase begins. As the storm of rock and wood continues to rain down, the main body of 1,500 Swiss infantry charges down the slopes, crashing into the disordered flank of the Habsburg column. They move with incredible, terrifying fury, and they carry a new, brutal weapon. This is the day the halberd enters history. The chronicler Johannes of Winterthur, whose own father fought on the Habsburg side and barely escaped, would later describe these weapons as extremely terrible. It is a peasant's answer to a knight's steel plate, a multi-tool of brutal efficiency. It is 8 feet of pole-mounted democratic violence. The Swiss, charging downhill, use the spear point to thrust at the gaps in the armor, the visor, the armpit, the groin. They use the heavy axe blade, powered by gravity, to cleave through helmets. But its most devastating feature is the hook. The Swiss infantry wade into the chaos, snagging the knights, pulling them from their panicked horses, and dragging them to the ground. Once pulled down, the knight is swarmed. The Swiss are not fighting by the rules of chivalry, they are fighting for survival. They show no mercy. This is a stark contrast to the knightly custom of taking noble prisoners for ransom. The Swiss are not interested in profit, they are interested in freedom. As Winterthur wrote, it was not a battle but a mere butchery. The panic in the column becomes absolute. The rear of the army, blind to the slaughter at the front, tries to press forward. The center, seeing the carnage, tries to flee. The two halves of the army collide. In the horrific crush, hundreds of soldiers, knights, and infantry alike are pushed off the narrow path and into the icy deep waters of Lake Egeria. Here, the knight's armor, his symbol of power, becomes his steel coffin. Weighed down by dozens of pounds of plate, the men sink instantly. They drown. Duke Leopold, caught in the middle of the column, watches in abject horror as his invincible army is dismantled. He is forced to fight his way out, not against the Swiss, but against the panic of his own men. He breaks free and flees the field. The chroniclers would note his escape. The same night, Johannes von Winterthur, then just a schoolboy, would see the Duke arrive in his hometown, half dead from extreme sorrow. The battle lasted less than 2 hours. As the morning mist clears, the silence on the pass is profound. The valley floor is a ruin of a proud army. Over 1,500 Habsburg soldiers are dead, a significant portion of the Austrian nobility, many more drowned in the lake. The Swiss losses are minimal, perhaps only a few dozen. The myth of the Invincible Knight has been shattered. Less than a month later, on December 9th, 1315, the victors meet and sign the Pact of Brunnen. In a final, powerful act of defiance, they write it not in Latin, the language of nobles and the church, but in German, the language of the people. This is the start of the Infantry Revolution. Morgarten proved that a well-armed, disciplined infantry, using the land itself as a weapon, could dismantle an army of armored specialists. The lessons learned here would be refined into the fearsome Swiss pike squares that would dominate European battlefields for a century. And the canton of Schwyz, for its valor, would soon give its name to the entire nation, Switzerland. Morgarten was more than a battle. It was a lesson written in steel, stone, and water that the will of free people fighting on their own ground is the most powerful force in history. We explore legendary battles like this every week. Subscribe for more stories of tactical genius that changed the world.